Good morning everyone, and it's good to be with you again today. Hope you're all keeping well, hope you're all staying safe and looking after yourselves. And I hope that you're having a good time, whether you're at school or at home or whatever you're doing. Just keep on looking after yourselves. Now, I've been thinking for a little while now about that very important word, peace. And it means so many things, doesn't it, when we think about the word peace? Peace in our world, peace with each other, peace within ourselves. And there are so many songs and hymns and pieces of music all about peace. And there's lots of poems and passages in the Bible and stories about peace as well. And maybe one of the most familiar, certainly to me, one that I'm very keen on, is based on a prayer by somebody called St. Francis. I wonder if any of you have heard of St. Francis. He was a very famous saint, a very famous priest who lived a long time ago. But he wrote a prayer that's been set to music, that's been sung and turned into poetry. So I thought I'd share these words with you. And as you look at these words, you're very welcome to say them at the same time, or just look at the words and just think about them. Think about what they mean. So let's read it. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. It is in dying that we are born again to eternal life. It's an interesting reading, isn't it? There's some big words in there, some things that we might perhaps struggle to understand a little bit. But I think the message is quite straightforward and quite simple, because we're saying, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. And that's another way of saying, Lord, help me to share peace with other people. Help me to be kind. Help me to make a difference to somebody's life. And I'm sure that we can all do that. Well, so many songs, so many hymns all about peace. But here's one that we've sung before in assembly when I've been into school. And it has within it the word peace. But it's quite a lively song. And it's difficult to sing without actions. But let's sing it together.
In my wrestling and in my doubts, in my failures, you won't walk out. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. In the silence, you won't let go. In the questions, your truth will hold. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. Oh, my lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore. Tomorrow brings with will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are my light, my lighthouse, my lighthouse, shining in the darkness. I will follow you. Oh, my lighthouse, my lighthouse. I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore.
Now here's a story. It's not from the Bible, but it's a story written years ago now, I think. Many years ago. And it's by somebody called Jill Murphy, who has written lots of books. And this one is called Peace at Last.
Peace at Last by Jill Murphy. The hour was late. Mr. Bear was tired, Mrs. Bear was tired, and Baby Bear was tired. So they all went to bed. Mrs. Bear fell asleep. Mr. Bear didn't. Mrs. Bear began to snore. Went Mrs. Bear. Oh no, said Mr. Bear. I can't stand this. So he got up and went to sleep in Baby Bear's room. Baby Bear was not asleep either. He was lying in bed pretending to be an aeroplane. Meow, went Baby Bear. Meow, meow. Oh no, said Mr. Bear. I can't stand this. So he got up and went to sleep in the living room. Tick tock, went the living room clock. Tick tock, tick tock. Cuckoo, cuckoo. Oh no, said Mr. Bear. I can't stand this. So he went off to sleep in the kitchen. Drip, drip, went the leaky kitchen tap. Went the refrigerator. Oh no, said Mr. Bear. I can't stand this. So he got up and went to sleep in the garden. Well, you would not believe what noises there are in the garden at night. Whit-twoo, whit-twoo, went the owl. Snuffle, 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 went the hedgehog. Meow, sang the cat on the wall. Oh no, said Mr. Bear. I can't stand this. So he went off to sleep in the car. It was cold in the car and uncomfortable, but Mr. Bear was so tired that he didn't notice. He was just falling asleep when all the birds started to sing and the sun peeped in at the window. Tweet, tweet, went the birds. Shine, shine, went the sun. Oh no, said Mr. Bear, I can't stand this. So he got up and went back into the house. In the house, Baby Bear was fast asleep, and Mrs. Bear had turned over and wasn't snoring anymore. Mr. Bear got into bed and closed his eyes. Peace at last, he said to himself. Went the alarm clock. Mrs. Bear sat up and rubbed her eyes. "Good morning, dear," she said. "Did you sleep well?" "Not very well, dear," yawned Mr. Bear. "Never mind," said Mrs. Bear. "I'll bring you a nice cup of tea." And she did.
Poor Mr. Bear. Didn't get very much sleep, did he? With everything going on all around him. Mrs. Bear was snoring, wasn't she? And Baby Bear was pretending to be an aeroplane. Although, to be honest, he sounded a bit more like a cat to me. And then you got the tick-tocking of the clock. And you got the dripping tap. Do you remember that? And the fridge, the refrigerator, making lots of noises too. And all those sounds going on outside as well in the natural world. You got the owls hooting, and you got the hedgehogs making funny noises, and the cats as well meowing, and other animals. You got the birds who were tweeting. And then, just as night was coming to an end, the sun began to shine as well, which must have kept Mr. Bear awake too. And then the alarm clock went off, and it was all very difficult because he clearly didn't get very much sleep, and he wasn't feeling very peaceful. But I guess it all ended well, because at the end of the story he had a nice cup of tea. There's someone who didn't get very much peace. But we all need peace, don't we? Each one of us. I wonder when it is that we really need peace. Maybe it's when we're feeling a bit tired and we need some rest because we've been working hard. Maybe at school or at home we've been doing lots of work and we just need a bit of peace. Or perhaps when we've been thinking about something really important going on in the world or in our lives, and it makes us a bit tired. And at those times we think, oh, I just need a bit of peace and quiet. Or maybe we're worried about something. And I guess we all get worried and anxious about lots of different things. And in those moments we say, oh, I just want a bit of peace, a bit of quiet. I'm feeling anxious and worried. And I just need to put it to one side and find some peace. Or when we've just had a really, really busy day, and all we want to do is to curl up in the corner, maybe go to sleep, but certainly to have a bit of a rest. And I guess we all need peace for lots of different reasons, because life is just so busy, isn't it? Rushing around from one thing to another. Life can be busy, life can be noisy as well, all the noise around us, outside, inside the home perhaps. And life can feel very rushed, going from one activity to another, sometimes just feeling that we can't draw breath. And in those times we just need a bit of peace. Where can we find that, I wonder? Where do we go? What do we do to find peace? Maybe we can just shut ourselves away in our bedrooms where we can be nice and quiet, away from all the busyness downstairs, and just find some peace and quiet. We can just shut ourselves away. Or we might maybe go for a walk in the park. Or, even better, if we're allowed to go to the beach. I love going to the beach and just finding myself sitting by the sea, sitting on the sand maybe, and just enjoying the peace. Or maybe in our back gardens, where we can play football, jump on our trampolines if we've got one, maybe plant some flowers, water the plants and the flowers. Do lots of things in our back garden, I guess, to find some peace. Or perhaps for some of us it's about going to church. And I'm really looking forward to going back to church, because church has been closed for a little while. And I know that some of you will go to different churches, and Maybe go to the church that's attached to the school, because that's special as well. And in those places in church we can just go and sit and be quiet and say a little prayer. But it is hard, isn't it? I still think it is very hard to find some peace. Now I know somebody who managed to get some peace and quiet, and he's a very famous person because his name is Jesus. I can't imagine anybody who was busier than Jesus, rushing from one place to another, meeting up with lots of people, helping people, making people feel better, healing people, and just encouraging people. And because of that, he was really, really popular. And people rushed to see him. I reckon people came from miles around to meet up with Jesus. So he must have been incredibly busy. And he must have needed peace as well. I wonder where he went to find his peace. I know that we're told in the Bible that he often went away to a quiet place on the other side of a lake or in a field, just to sit and to be quiet and to say some prayers. And one day Jesus said something very interesting. He said, "I leave you a gift, my peace. I give you my peace. I don't give it to you as the world does, so don't be troubled or afraid." And we know that the world can be very busy and very noisy, as I've just said a few minutes ago. But Jesus said, "I'm going to give you peace." So it's not only us that need to find peace. We know that God helps us and gives us peace as well. Now, if it was me personally trying to find some peace, it's very difficult, but I might just put on a bit of quiet music and maybe close my eyes and just listen. Just occasionally I might even fall asleep because it's so peaceful. Or perhaps go for a walk. And I used to go for lots of walks along the loop line. Still do, but maybe not as much as I did a few months ago. Just going for a walk I think is really helpful. Or even putting the kettle on. Making a cup of tea and putting my feet up. That's another way of finding peace. So let's look for peace. And let's share peace as well. We can do that by helping people, being kind, being thoughtful, being encouraging, making people feel better, and just sharing a bit of peace if we can. I think there's lots of ways that we can share peace and be at peace in ourselves. So think about that word peace, about what it means, and how you might share it with somebody else. You might think, I'd like to draw a picture. I'd just like to do a little painting perhaps that describes peace. Maybe you could do that if you wanted to, if you've got a few minutes. But as we think about peace, I'm going to say a prayer, and then we're going to say together the Lord's Prayer. But first of all, just a little prayer from me. Dear God, thank you for the times when I need to be peaceful and when I can find peace. Lord, please be with those people who are struggling to find peace. People who are scared or tired or troubled or can't find the peace that they need. Lord, help me to try really hard to keep the peace. And thank you that you are always there for me, whether I'm feeling peaceful or not, because you never let me go. Amen. Okay, as I promised, let's say together now the words of the Lord's Prayer. Let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And do you remember the prayer that John Wesley wrote? It's a prayer that we often say in our assemblies and in church. So let's say this prayer as well. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. Amen. So, I want to share a final song with you that speaks about peace. It's one that you might be able to sing along to, or maybe just listen to, because there's some nice pictures, some nice images. And you could just listen to the music and just let it waft over you and be quiet just for a couple of minutes. And it's called Deep Peace. Take care of yourselves, everyone. Look after yourselves. Be at peace with each other and share peace as well. And I'll see you next time. Take care. See you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.